Hey guys, how you doing? jpsarrireviews here. Transformers War for Cybertron Siege is the first part of the trilogy that is being produced by Netflix. As soon as it was announced, I was really looking forward to it because I'm a big fan of the Transformers. I don't care if it's comics, the video games, the movies, the television shows. I love Transformers. So definitely I was desperately in need for something like this to watch, throughout this pandemic. Now that the show is here, the first part is only 6 episodes, 30 minutes each. My question is it good or is it bad? So in the next couple of minutes, we are going to find out. They're good. The first thing that you're going to notice about this show is the fact that it plays so well with nostalgia. Just bottom line, that's just the way it is. If you grew up like I did in the 80s watching the original cartoons, you're gonna feel right at home. If you have watched any of the different iterations over the years of different cartoons, whether it's Transformers Armada or any of those two, you're still gonna feel right at home. If you have played the video games, the War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron video games, which in my opinion are the best, you're gonna feel right at home. If you read the IDW comics, you're gonna feel right at home. They play it so well. But now, it is important to point out that nostalgia can take you so far. You need a good story. And this is another aspect, in my opinion, that keeps the story engaging from beginning to end. You feel engaged, it's fast-paced. If you know the story of Transformers, pretty much this at the end of the War for Cybertron. They're, the title says, a siege. They are under siege. They are really in desperation mode. Definitely this is coming to an end. Pretty much the planet is in peril. So you have this fight between the Autobots and the Decepticons. So of course, you know the story, if you're familiar with it. Even if you're not familiar with the story, you're gonna feel comfortable with it because it explains it so well. So even children that have never watched this before, they're gonna feel comfortable with the story. It's easy to understand. So it goes really fast. It never slows down. The pacing is good. Every episode is only around 30 minutes, so it doesn't take long. So it moves to the next episode. So technically you can watch this in a couple of hours. You can watch the entirety of the first part of the trilogy. And in my opinion, that's always good. I really like it because I never felt like there was any dull moment throughout the show. I feel that it was going really fast and it was fluid. So the story, in my opinion, it's great. Besides the story, the biggest attraction to Transformers has always been the visuals. This is the reason why we got into it in the first place, because of the toys, because they look cool, because of the cartoon, because all the designs over the years, even the movies have really done a great job in give you the visuals, because that's what really attracts you in the first place to this franchise. This series does a really good job in that department. The animation is great. It's 3D animation. Some people don't like 3D animation, but it is done so well here. It is kind of self-shaded, so it really looks kind of cartoony at the same time without looking too stiff or, boxy. So it's pretty good. They did a fantastic job. So I think that's one factor that really keeps not only you engaged if you're a fan of the franchise, but also children. They get engaged with it, because they love the animation. So they did a terrific job on that area. The bad. Now it's time to talk about the bad. Although the show has a great story and the pacing is phenomenal, I feel that also the show suffers from the fast pace of the entire story, how things are going. The events are happening very quickly. It doesn't give you enough downtime for you to kind of enjoy or to see the characters to develop even more in front of you, to really understand motivations even more. You don't get that opportunity with the show. And if you remember the original cartoons, and even many of the cartoons throughout the years and the movies, even the video games do that, there are times where there's a little bit of comedy in it. Here, it's very rare that you get a one-liner, for example. And it never feels right. It's like it's not at the right time. So it's kind of forced there just to give a little bit of, take the tension out of the moment. But it doesn't do it well. And that's something that the original show did so well. At the end of the day, of course, we understand that they're going through perilous times. The Autobots are facing extermination by the Decepticons. So it's not fun. This is a war. So it has that eerie feel of war. But at the same time, this is a cartoon at the end of the day, also geared towards children and people that have watched the show and have always enjoyed that little bit of comedic elements that they come from time to time. And you don't get that to see that much in this show. So yeah, it does suffer. It feels a bit dry throughout the 6 episodes. So it's more like, you're at war mode, you are in tension mode. So it doesn't really uplift you or changes that pace. So yeah, it's something that you can say that it's a problem. And continuing with the nostalgic aspects of Transformers, I love the nostalgic aspects of it because that's one of the reasons I'm pretty much in watching the show in the first place. But at the same time, I can understand that nostalgia can take you so far because it becomes a crutch that we depend on so much. And although this show manages to really keep the interest and to keep it fresh, it also relies so much on things that we already seen before. Particularly this happens not for people that are coming here for the first time. If your children have never watched Transformers, then this is not going to be something that they're going to notice right away. But if you have been here as long as I have, then you feel that, okay, I have seen this before. I've seen this in the original cartoons. I've seen this in the video games. I have read this in the IDW comics. So it relies on it, which is good, but for some people it's bad because it's not really tracing new ground. It's not really looking or trying to discover something new, trying to give you something totally different. You know where the story's heading. You know who's going to be good. You know who's going to turn bad or good. You know that it's, that's the way, how it's going to play out, because you have seen it many, many times before. So yeah, it's kind of mind numbing in one way because you come here, you already know what's going to happen. It's just seen in a different light with new technology, new 3D animation. Of course, some changes here and there, more grittier than the original cartoons, but that's about it. You don't really notice anything that is changing I would say the playing field, that you feel, wow, this is different. I didn't expect that. This just came out of nowhere. So yeah, you're not going to be blown away by the events because you have been here before. So yeah, that could be a hindrance for some people, not necessarily for everyone. Now, in talking about nostalgia, and I'm going to play devil's advocate, I'm going to jump to the other side of the fence on this one. As much as I want Transformers to explore new ground, I'm still bound to the things I remember as a child. I grew up watching the original cartoons, and one of those things that really brings so many memories for me of the Transformers was the voiceovers of Peter Cullen and Frank Welker as Optimus and Megatron. They are iconic. If you, like me, grew up in the 80s watching the cartoons and you have been following Transformers for years, you know that they have voice over so many different iterations of Transformers, not only the Generation 1 cartoons, but also other cartoons, the movies, and the video games. Now we have new blood. Of course, these actors, already made a career out of it. They are pretty much moving on with their lives. We need new blood, to voice over for the next generation. So this is more like a nitpick, not for everyone. If you don't have any experience, but even if you don't have any experience, but you have heard the iconic voices, then you're gonna feel like there's something missing. Because even my wife, for example, she's not a fan of Transformers. She has watched here and there with me, and even she was watching the show with me this time, and she said, "Well, something is missing. It's like they're not the same actors." And to me, it's like, yeah, for me, it's a big deal. For her, it's something that she noticed, and she's not even a fan. So I would say the people that have never really followed, have never watched the originals or anything before this, then for them it's not going to be a big problem. But you feel when you hear the new voiceover actors, you hear that they're trying to imitate the voices of the original cast. And well, that's kind of weird. It's weird. It feels weird. So again, this is not bad. It's a nitpick, primarily directed towards those that have been a fan of this show for the last 35, almost 40 years. So for us, it's a big deal, not for everyone. So yeah, it's something that is important to point out. In conclusion, I'm telling you this, I really love the show. Besides some of the bad things, or I wouldn't say more like bad things, nitpicks that I have with it, I truly miss the voiceover from the original cast. It does play a lot with nostalgia, which is good and bad at the same time. I have no problems with it. I feel it's fun. It's a good introduction to people that have never watched it, particularly the younger generation. They're going to enjoy it too. It's a good starting point. I'm really glad that Netflix greenlighted this and they're continuing with this legacy. I know that Netflix gets a lot of flack because some of the shows that they produce are not as good with the 3D animation, but this one is probably one of the best they have. So they have done a fantastic job with it. If I have to give this show, with all the little flaws here and there, a final score, I would say it's an 8 out of 10, which in my opinion is very good. It's a very good show. I highly recommend it. Of course, it's short, and we still gotta wait for the second part and then the third part, but I'm really looking forward to it. It starts pretty strong and continues strong throughout, and it needs a little bit more of lightheartedness at the times, but beyond that, it's not going to be offensive or gritty or beyond the comprehension of even your kids. So they're going to enjoy it. Everyone can enjoy it if you really put your heart into it, you really pay attention, you can enjoy it. So, I highly recommend it. But what is your opinion? Have you watched this first part? Do you like it? You don't like it? Let me know in the comments below. So once again, my friends, thanks for watching. God bless, take care, and I'll talk to you again. Bye-bye.